This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Perfect. It's always great to catch up with Caitlin Bassett. Tell us about the Sunshine Coast Lightning. Something happened at their game the other day.
Shawnee, I'm slightly distracted by the chandelier that's behind you.
I know.
Obviously staying at the Ritz over there.
It looks like Beauty and the Beast, doesn't it?
You can see that on our socials as well, Shaun.
It's just really weird. Yeah, it's really weird. I apologise for that.
it.
I'll get it taken down tomorrow.
No, all good. No, West Coast Fever. First win of the season.
Yes.
10 goals over the Vixens, which is big because, Vixens are a quality side. And
Well, there was one notable difference between the team that played in the first couple of games and the team that played this weekend.
yes, well, Janelle Fallon-Emard back playing. No surprise. She was the MVP, 59 from 61 goals. So she pretty much off her own hand just came back and dominated. And we're not surprised. She's a five-time MVP league winner. And she is a huge piece to the puzzle and a huge target in their attacking end. So their season finally getting on a roll now with one win. And it's not too late.
And I've got to say, Katie-Anne Dehaney in defence, she played extraordinarily well as well. She had her best game so far. And this is with, the Ariang sisters being out, both of them injured. And I mean, Ruth's out for the season. She snapped her Achilles. Sunday will be back in a couple of weeks probably. But, yeah, the fact that, they had to step up in defence as well and did. Fran Williams was really good as well.
To be honest, on undermanned, they had a couple of, Zoe Kransberg was in.
Yes.
The two twins were playing, which was awesome to see. But no, really good and good momentum building into the Sunshine Coast Lightning, who also had a win on the weekend. And they had a very special ball deliverer to bring out the first centre pass. It was none other than Robert Irwin.
And then he sat courtside for the rest of the match and watched the whole thing and was pretty excited when they got up.
The vibe in the stadium was massive. So they beat the Queensland Firebirds, a very big rivalry there in Queensland.
So that's a derby for them,
It is, yes. So they'll be coming over here with some momentum as well. They're in the top 4 at the moment. My old team, obviously. So looking forward to seeing them.
So who I haven't noticed who's been delivering the balls at Fever games. Is it a thing that we do?
I don't know.
Do
Maybe
we need
someone
S.
different,
McManus
maybe?
to come off with a python around his neck or something and get up there and deliver the ball?
Who's the biggest celebrity that we can find? I mean, Luke Jackson, he might be keen. A connection to Kelsey could bring the ball out.
I see what you're doing there. Yeah.
No, let's talk about our Dockers because you must be pretty stoked with their win on the weekend, Shawnee.
Yeah, I was so disappointed with the previous game against Melbourne and in particular their midfield. Sean Darcy had an absolute stinker against Melbourne. So I found it really difficult to get over that. I expected them to win, by the way, Seabass, because they win the Anzac Day clashes generally. And the worst part for me is at the team at the moment is that they win 3 in a row, then they lose a game. And it's staying hard enough for long enough. But I was super happy. Anyway, that said, I was super happy that they got the Bickies on the weekend.
Yeah, and there was all these, talk about them getting a spray at training from JL. They had their best first quarter of the season, so clearly bouncing back strongly. Maybe they need a little bit more tough love. For me, though, I love their special jersey. So it was the Len Hall Memorial Tribute game, and they were wearing a jersey, and it had emu feathers on it. And I thought, why has it got emu feathers? So the story is, Len Hall, he's a WA legend, war veteran, a Freo local. When he left to go out to Gallipoli on the boat, he took an emu feather from his hat and gave it to a woman at the docks who had came out to say goodbye. Anyway, he comes back from war and she, Eunice, her name is, found him and returned the feather to him and they got married a few years later. How amazing is that?
That is pretty incredible.
Tinder and Hinge, they've just got nothing on that.
I'm going to start handing feathers to people, see what happens.
Len and Eunice, how beautiful is that? So the emu feather, that's why they had that on their jersey. What a great love story.
Yeah, that's a great story.
That is a great story.
Yeah.
West Coast Eagles, where do you see them? Where do you see their next win coming from? I've pointed out that there could be a chance to beat Melbourne this week. I don't see them winning against Richmond away and all the St Kilda who are down the bottom as well. Where do you see it?
Oh, look, it could be
Miracles
this weekend.
can happen.
I think Max Gawn at the moment, he is just on fire. Like, he's really lifted, and I think Matt Flynn versus him or whoever they end up playing in the middle will be interesting. Potentially Roos when they play them because they've got them in Bunbury. That could be a good win for the Eagles coming up. But I think, once again, it's going to be a long season for West Coast fans.
I just don't see how they. So It's just so bleak at the moment because you're going to get to possibly 0-9, 0-10 type category. That's never happened to the Eagles, even though they've won the wooden spoon a couple of times.
Yeah, I think the concerning thing is they're starting to hit records for how poorly, the amount of contested possessions and things like that. Like they're hitting new lows in some of those stats. So, Minnie, he's looking for some of the small wins, and they were talking about against Hawks. Well, they didn't get as many intercept possessions and things like that. But I guess
what you might call a mini win.
Yes, a mini win. Yeah, I guess. Like, geez, you got to take the positives.
Oh yeah. You're scratching around. There's a positive.
Yeah.
We were first to the stadium.
Exactly. Onwards and upwards.
Yeah. All right. Thanks,
Well,
Seabass.
I wouldn't say upwards. Now, Seabass, what are you doing for a new gig? We believe you've joined a new sporting team.
I have decided that I will be across every single sport in Australia. I've done cricket, I've done netball now.
Yes.
I'm playing footy. So I've got that.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe rugby union. So I've got a job at the Western Force as their player development manager, which is very exciting. So I'll be getting on the Force bandwagon, and it's pretty exciting because it's their 20th year anniversary at the club. So they're over in New Zealand at the moment. They played against the Chiefs and unfortunately had a loss. And they're playing against the Blues this week. But then they come back and they play against the Brumbies for a very, very special game. So, yeah, looking forward to working with the boys and
gig. Well done.
learning how to tackle. What a great place to learn how to tackle.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're going to learn anywhere, you're going to learn there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, great work. We'll see you again soon, Seabass. Thank you.
Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Good win by the Dockers, obviously, against Adelaide. They're a tough team, Adelaide, and they're a high-scoring team. Most people kind of get to the end of the game and go, oh, we should have won by 10 goals probably in the end, all that kind of stuff. But a win's a win, and you've got to move on.
Yeah, and I mean, Andy Brayshaw picking up the Arthur Leggett medal, that was a nice little touch too.
Oh, it was fantastic,
He was good.
Nat. And you know what? I won't tell the story behind this, but his dad literally texted me from France, I reckon 2 days before, and he was visiting
Villas
all the
Breton,
grave sites.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was. And he, we have this thing between us, I won't talk about now, but he sent me this, and it was a connection before this game took place, 2 days before. And next thing you know, Andy wins the medal. It was quite incredible, actually, the synergy.
Yeah, that's great. And he played a terrific game, so yeah, deserved it.
Okay, let's talk about the West Coast Eagles.
Do we
Now,
have to?
there's a couple of things I want to talk about. First of all, obviously Hawthorn gave him a bit of a pantsing yesterday. I mean, it wasn't the worst, 50 points. Could be worse.
Yep.
But here's the notes I've put down. Can we discuss Oscar Allen's beard?
Please? I know.
What do you think?
Well, what I think it was is he was trying to go undercover so that Sam Mitchell wouldn't take him out for coffee again. So that's the only theory I could come up with because it's not great.
Yeah, absolutely. Harley Reid had a really poor first half. He got going in the second half, bits and pieces, but he had a lot of mistakes. I mean, he's out the door too. There's no question about that. I'm trying to look forward to, okay, let's have a look at the West Coast Eagles' next 3 games, okay? Tell me where the win's going to come from. Jump in at any time too, Ross. So next game is Melbourne, followed by Richmond away, followed by St Kilda at home.
Look, I mean, Richmond only beat them by 2 not that long ago, remember?
Yes.
So that if you're picking one out of those 3, I think that's the one you'd really focus in on.
You're a betting man,
Okay.
Shaun. What would you say?
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Well,
I think it's tough because it's an away game, obviously. But yeah.
I think Richmond are going to be hard away because they've probably circled one game in the calendar for them. You know what I mean? That's their game,
I know what
right?
you mean.
So yeah. And then they won't be beating St Kilda at home, but Melbourne is a possibility.
Yeah.
I do believe. Melbourne beat Fremantle, and realistically, Freo midfield had a stinker that day, and Melbourne were able to get themselves up after being lambasted in the media on the East Coast for 7 days prior to that. But I think they're one of the poorer teams in the comp, and I think West Coast would be able to roll them this week.
All right. Oh no, that's
He said
doomed.
Yeah, okay, so they definitely won't now. Shaun has said it.
Right.
He's jinxed them.
Right, I will move on to a few other things. So Jack Robinson won bells yesterday. I was able to watch that.
Yeah, good win by Jack. Well done.
Yeah, so I saw him surfing up at Nalu a couple of years ago, and can you believe Nalu's up for sale? Now, you did mention this to me before.
This is why I figured you were liquidating your assets to buy. So you've sold out one house in Secret Harbour, and now you've got $17.5 million to buy Nalu.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Well done, Shaun.
Imagine listing that property. That's crazy.
Someone's going to snap that up really fast too, I reckon.
No doubt about it, just for the iconic status.
Yeah.
The quokka was won and won by Joker's Grin, a WA horse, and my dad tipped it to me the night before because it's trained by one of his cousins, Bernie Miller, and he said, this will be winning. And I went, no, I don't think so. And it did, and paid
Classic
$28.
That's a classic Shaun McManus story.
Yeah. And Dad, he rubbed it in for a long way. Wrexham have got
I love this story.
another victory under their sleeve, which means that they are up to the championship level.
So they've been promoted 3 seasons in a row, right? That's incredible.
Incredible.
And that's the one on Netflix with Ryan
Reynolds,
yeah, so he
Rob
bought
McElhenney.
it and then just jumped. So it was down to, what was it? Where did it start at and where is it now?
So they were non-league. So they're outside the big competitions, Ross, where you actually get paid. So they were that poor and had been poor for such a long time. If you follow the series, then they were able to get themselves up and going through the investments by the 2 Hollywood stars, and more importantly, that they were able to get sponsors, big-time sponsors, and the next Netflix series to be able to showcase their football club, and then that enticed better players to come and play for them. And they're able to just climb the ladder as they've done. This is an incredible story.
It is. It really is. It's the dream. Have you been looking at like football teams that you could buy and maybe cash in similarly? Is that why you've liquidated your assets?
Bali United, I'm all over them at the moment.
Give him a call.
And finally, I just wanted to mention too, staying with the EPL, and our producer Amy will be unhappy with the fact that Liverpool gave Tottenham a bath overnight this morning, 5-1. And the only way, and I still don't see this happening, is Ange Postecoglou sticking around, is if they were able to win the Europa League, which their next game, a semi-final, was played on Thursday morning our time.
Amy looks like she's given up on life, so I don't think she expects that that's going to happen.
I'd like to know what it's like at her household, because her husband is a massive Spurs supporter.
Amy, tell us. How's it going? Is everything okay at home?
I think he's got all his eggs in the basket for
Europa League?
Europa League.
Yeah, right.
They've already started looking at accommodation in Ibiza, Shaun. When they have a boys' trip to go watch the
Well, I guess if you're going to do that, you might as well go to Ibiza and enjoy yourselves, right?
Yeah, why not? Why not? But I can't see him surviving. It's been amazing that he's lasted this long, but I guess it's come to the end of the season. They'll make a move next year, but we'll wait and see.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.